Hi everyone, and welcome back to art class. Today we are continuing on with our Zentangle Animal Project. The first week we learned about what Zentangles were and we practiced drawing them. Last week we drew our animal and divided it into 10 or more sections. Here was mine. This week we are going to fill those sections with different Zentangle designs. And so I'm going to show you that now. These Zentangle designs could be the ones that you practiced 2 weeks ago if you really liked them, or maybe you'll find some new designs or come up with some new designs that you want to use. But make sure each of your 10 designs is different. So if I do black and white stripes in one section, and then I do black and white stripes in another section, that's not going to count as 2 designs. It's still only going to count as 1. So all 10 designs need to be different as you're drawing them. What you can use to draw is up to you. It depends on what you have. The best thing would be a black permanent marker. So if you do have a black permanent marker, I would like you to use that. The reason permanent is better is because we might be using something that is wet around our animal next week. And if some of those wet splashes splashes over into your drawing, if you didn't use something permanent, then it might smear a little. But if you only have a regular black marker, that is fine too. So permanent black marker, regular black marker. If you don't have black, any dark color will do. A pen would also be great for Zentangle designs, so if you have a dark colored pen. And if you don't have any of those, a pencil can make some really nice designs too. And a pencil also will not smear when it gets wet, so that would work fine. I'm going to start right now doing a few Zentangle designs, and I will show you when I'm done. All right, I'm not done yet. So far, I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different Zentangles. So I'm about halfway done. That's pretty good. I wanted to stop and tell you something about how you can make your designs and your total overall artwork look a little more interesting. And it is something called line variation. So when we're making all these designs, we're using a lot of lines. So for example, in this one I used straight lines that are going at 2 different diagonals. On this one, I drew a lot of little circles by using rounded lines. For this one, I made kind of a checkerboard pattern by drawing straight lines and then circles. This one, I just did a lot of repeating circles to make my design. And for this one, I used over the hill or rounded lines with some straight lines inside. So line variation is talking about when you use all different kinds of lines. The word variation kind of sounds like the word variety. If I said to you, I made a variety of pies last night, that doesn't mean that I just made one kind of pie, right? It means I made lots of different kinds of pies. So when you are drawing lines, if you are showing line variation, it means you're using lots of different kind of lines. Straight lines, curved lines, zigzag lines, and also different thicknesses of lines. Thin lines, thick lines, areas that are really, really dark because they're colored in, areas that might be light because they're not colored in. If I were to make all 10 of my Zentangle designs with the same kind of lines, like all thin lines or all wavy lines, it would look a little bit boring because when my eyes are looking at it, my brain is thinking, oh, it's just all straight lines, or oh, it's all thin lines, and then I kind of want to move on and look at something else. But if I make my designs all have all different kinds of lines in them so that there is a variety, then my eyes and my brain want to look at the artwork longer because it takes me longer to see everything because there's so many different things to see. So when you are doing your designs, I am going to ask that you show line variation. That means I want to see different kinds of lines, not all straight lines, not all curved lines, not all thin, and not all thick. So if I look at what I have so far, I already have some line variation. Let me show you why. In here, in this pattern I drew diagonal lines going this way that are thin. I just went over them once with my marker. Then I drew lines going the opposite way that are thick. I went over them 2 or 3 times with my marker to make them thicker. This pattern also has thin and thick areas. I drew these little straight lines that you see. I drew them once with my marker so they look pretty thin. And then these other areas that I colored in look a lot thicker. So to show that thin and thick line variation, you can have some areas that you color in with your marker and some areas where you don't color anything in. I didn't color this whole wing in, but I colored in the squares around those white circles. That way it looks like a thicker area of black instead of just thin areas of black like that one. All right, I'm going to do a few more designs now. All right, I just finished with quite a few more Zentangle designs. So I wanted to stop and count and make sure I had at least 10 Zentangle designs, and I wanted to make sure I showed line variation because I know those are 2 things I'm going to be graded on this week, and I know those are 2 things that are going to help my artwork to look better. So I'm going to stop now and count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different Zentangle designs. So I could be done now. But I could add more because remember you can have more than 10. So I'm trying to decide if I think I want to add a design in my bird's body right here or in the eye. I think I'm just going to add a couple eyelashes on my bird just as another little design. But I think I'm going to stop now. I think if I keep going, it might look a little too busy inside the bird, and I already have 10 designs, so I can stop. I actually have 11. Okay, now I need to see, do I have line variation? That means, do I have different kinds of lines, such as thin lines and thick lines, and straight lines and wavy lines? So let's see. I have straight lines right here and right here, but they're a little different because those are crisscrossing and those are just lines in one direction. I have curved lines here. I have wavy lines in that one. And I have zigzag lines in that one. So I think I have lots of different kinds. Now let's see if I have different thicknesses of lines. In this one, I have a thin line and kind of a medium thickness of a line. In this one, I have a big area colored in, so that kind of looks like a really thick line. In this one, I have a lot colored in too, so that looks like an even thicker part. In this one, I did a thin line, thick line, thin line, thick line, thin line, thick line. So I think I have pretty good line variation too. I have different kinds of lines. I have some lines that are thin, some lines that are thick, and some of my designs have areas that are colored in, like here and here. So I am all set for today, and now I'm ready to turn in my artwork. All right, since I finished my artwork for the week, it's time for me to submit it. So I am on Schoology on the course page, and I'm in the assignment where I saw these directions. I already watched this video, I already read through the steps, and I looked at the grading rubric to make sure I had everything I needed. Now it's ready to submit. So over here on the right, I'm clicking Submit Assignment. Then, I have two choices, just like always. I can record a video of myself showing my artwork and talking about line variation, because it did say in the directions below that I needed to show two places where I used line variation. Or I could upload a photo of my artwork and I could type the two places that I used line variation. I think I will do the video option this time, but you could do the other option. I'm clicking audio and video. Here's a camera. I'm going to hit start recording. Hi, Miss Bruce. Here's my Zentangle artwork for this week. Make sure the whole thing gets into view. Two places where I used line variation are right here, because you can see I have really thick lines that are colored in. And here I have very thin lines where nothing is colored. I also used round lines here and straight lines here. So those are two places that I used line variation. All right, I'm done with my video. It's uploading. I'm going to hit insert recording. And then once I see it's there, I can click submit. And remember, if you don't record a video of yourself, you could upload that, a picture of your artwork, and type your answer about line variation.